Dori and left her to suffer the consequences alone. "Looks like rain," he said as he poured himself a cup of coffee. Dori nodded as she strained off the baking grease, then poured the eggs into the hot skillet and began to stir. "I know, Granddaddy. I'm going to leave just as soon as I feed Luther." "I'll feed old Buster here, and you sit yourself down and eat breakfast for a change. You're wasting away. I can eat after you're gone." She hesitated. He already did so much for her, but his offer was tempting. She sure didn't want to work all day in wet clothes. "But your breakfast will get cold," she said. He tweaked her ear. "I know how to heat it up now, don't I?" She grinned and handed him Luther's bowl of cereal. She dished herself up a serving of eggs and bacon, grabbed a piece of toast as it popped up, and ate standing up. Meeker frowned. "Honey, the least you could do is sit down." "No time," she muttered, talking around the mouthful of food she was chewing. Within minutes she was in her bedroom, throwing on clothes without care if they matched or not, and brushing out tangles in her long, dark brown hair. She used to take pride in her appearance. Before her parents were killed, everyone used to talk about how much she looked like her mother, with her baby doll features and little turned-up nose, but she couldn't see how it mattered much anymore. Her pride, along with everything else, had taken a great fall when she turned up pregnant, and like Humpty Dumpty, she didn't know how to put herself back together again. She grabbed an umbrella and then stepped off in the kitchen before she left. "I'm going now," she said, and kissed her little boy goodbye. "Luther Joe, you be good for Granddaddy." Luther grinned and blew bubbles with a mouthful of oatmeal, which made Meeker grin. Dori rolled her eyes. "Don't laugh at him or he'll just do it again." "Why not?" Meeker said. "You used to do the same thing and I laughed at you." Dori hugged her grandfather's neck. "I hope you know how much I love and appreciate you." Meeker squinted and gruffly cleared his throat. "I love you too, girl. Now hustle or you're gonna get wet. Luther and I will be just fine." Dori blew him a kiss, then put on her raincoat, and after she stepped out onto the porch, opened her umbrella. The sun had yet to come up, but the streetlights lit the way out of her neighborhood toward downtown Blessings. She took a deep breath of the cool morning air as she came down the porch steps. It even smelled like rain. Without hesitation, she lengthened her stride and shifted into work mode. She'd never made it to a high school prom, and her days of going to football games and school trips were over. She'd tried homeschooling, then decided it was a waste of time and took the GED. Now she was almost through with online college courses on building websites. She could have felt sorry for herself, but all she had to do to get past it was think about her baby. She wouldn't trade him for all the parties and dances in the world. She paused briefly to check for traffic as she reached the corner, and when the first drops of rain began to fall, she started to run. When 20-year-old Johnny Pine's alarm went off, he rolled his long-legged self out of bed with a groan. 5 a.m. came far too soon, but he needed the extra hour to do a load of laundry and make breakfast for his little brothers before he sent them off to school. When he was little, his mama never made him breakfast, let alone got out of bed. But he remembered what it felt like to go to school hungry and was determined that wasn't happening to his brothers. Marshall was 10 and in 5th grade, and Brooks, a.k.a. Beep, was 7 and in 2nd grade. Although they were young enough to still need a mother, that wasn't happening. Their mother had overdosed on meth 2 years ago and was buried in the Blessing Cemetery. Their daddy was doing time in prison with no hope of ever getting out. Johnny was all they had left, and he wasn't going to be the next one to fail them. He headed for the bathroom on bare feet, wincing at the feel of grit on the floor. He'd meant to sweep up last night after dishes and the boys' homework, but he'd forgotten. Maybe he'd have time if he hurried through his shower. A short while later he was in the kitchen, stirring oatmeal and sipping his second cup of coffee. The washer was on the spin cycle, so far so good. He eyed the oatmeal, then turned off the fire and set the pan on a back burner as he went down the hall to wake up the boys. The Ninja Turtle nightlight in their room used to be his. It was cracked and one of the turtles was missing an arm, but it still worked, shedding a pale green glow on their faces. They both had black hair like